Hello everybody, it is Santiago here with more information about the open audition process for the Teenage Prodigy movie. If you plan on coming to the Mary Hall Park open audition, then it is important you watch as much of this video as you can, or at least check all of the chapters and make sure that you watch anything that you don't know about yet. As long as I remember to when I'm editing, right here should be all of the chapters on the screen, just in case you don't want to have to skim through and try to find them in the description or on the timeline. First, we're going to start off with the trigger warnings to make sure that anybody who is interested in auditioning in the movie is okay with all of the things that happen in the movie, or at least is aware of them. I have the list pulled up here, so sorry if I'm not looking right at the camera. The trigger warnings list includes self-harm, violence, gang violence, discussion of suicide, deep themes, death, mental health, violence involving minors, guns, mentions of substance use/abuse involving minors, profane language, and blasphemous/sacrilegious language. You know, when I was writing the script, there was just these boxes of what are all of the trigger warnings ever, and I had to make sure to hit every single one that I could find, if you couldn't tell. But in all seriousness, if you have issues with any of these things, but you are still interested in being a part of the film, just go ahead and let me know when you're there at the audition, or if you decide that you want to do an online audition by the end of this video, just let me know when we're discussing it, and I can do my best to try to find a part that doesn't have whatever you're not interested in being related with, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and that is unfortunate. What is an open audition? An open audition is when someone holds auditions for something like a play or a movie in a place that is public, or at least with public access to come audition. So there's no need for any prior engagements, although there may be some form of RSVP. Now, what about these specific open auditions? So, as mentioned in the last video, I already know where we're going to be doing them. The address should be here on the screen, as well as the name of the place, of course. If you are unable to make it March 21st from 3:45 to 6 o'clock, that's okay. We might not do in-person auditions anymore from that day forward, but online auditions will always be an option as long as we're still looking for more cast. If you are going to be doing an online audition, as mentioned before, the online form is necessary. If you are doing an in-person one, doing the online form beforehand only means you don't have to fill out a sheet once you get there. The open auditions will be held in a way so that we can have as few or as many people show up as possible, and it will still run smoothly. Right now, the plan is to do cold reads of scenes from the script to help see where people fit, what characters people work with, and have a couple people do monologues depending on if they do or don't bring one, and if we just want to see a monologue from that person. It is always advised you bring a monologue just in case, but if you don't bring one, you will not be penalized for not having one upon request and not being able to do one. If anything, if we are ever able to do callbacks, we'll just make sure you bring one at least that time so we can see it then. The team that will be watching consists of me and one or two other people who are helping with the film. I'm not going to say to what extent or how important they are to it, but I will say that there are a couple people, or at least one other person who will be there overwatching things with me to make sure that I don't miss anything and make sure that we are getting as good of a view at the acting skills as possible, because I may not be looking up at everything every single second. I may be writing things down, or I might be trying to take certain notes, and I might not be able to see every little thing that happens. So having those extra people there will only help make sure that the people who truly deserve to get in do get in. One of the biggest issues I've heard about people who want to do the film is time. So I will now discuss that. If you are at all interested in helping with the production, but the first thing on your mind is, oh, I really want to do this, but I don't have the time, no worries. That is a-okay. If you have zero free time this summer, or zero free time between the months of April to September, then you can't do it. If you have not even 3 hours in one single day that you're free, unfortunately, you don't work for our team. That being said, if you have any free time at all, we would be able to work you into the film. Not only do we need people for the main cast, but we need tons of people to be side characters, even background characters. The vision of this film has a lot of inclusivity for as many people as possible. The more people there are, even people who aren't big characters, people in the background, matters so much to make this film live up to everything I'm dreaming for it to be. Maybe I don't think your acting style is great for this movie, right? But maybe I'll ask you to be in the background of a certain scene where I want you to do something specific. The only thing you do by showing up and actually coming to be a background actor on that day is that I can rely on you. And if I want to ask you to be a part of any other project, whether or not it's a part of the Teenage Prodigy IP, I can trust that you will be reliable, right? So whether it's 30 years in the future and I remember that, hey, I was working on a movie with this one dude and he had great potential, just not for what I was doing, so maybe I'll get a hold of him, see if he's still interested in that. Or maybe that'll never happen. But it shows that you are reliable and that you at least want to see it through. And that is amazing. And that will always be a thing that you can point to, because any experience is always better than no experience. Obviously, the size of the role you get is going to be partially dependent on how free you are this summer. If you can only get in once a week for like 3 hours at a time, you might get a side character, but more likely you'll get a background character, and you'll only have to come on set one day. But at least you can have that on your acting resume, and you can say, hey, I did this for a small production company all this time back. And once again, anything is better than nothing, because you're at least showing that this is something you were so committed to that you were willing to even be a small part of something small. Not even a big role in a small film, but you were willing to be in the background and play someone specific in the background to show that you were truly dedicated to this dream. But if you weren't interested in acting as a life career, that doesn't mean just don't show up because you don't get a main character and the only reason you're doing it is to get a main character. Having fun on set is so amazing. I've only been out for filming one day for this movie, and that was last year, and it was so much fun. And I can only imagine how much more fun it would be to have all of these people here trying to coordinate the scene. And yes, it may be stressful, but it's going to be stressful for me the most, not nearly as stressful for anybody else. And that is for me to worry about, because I want this to come out as a particular way, and the only way to make this come out as best as it can is to get as much help as possible. Another big thing I hear all the time when I'm asking people if they want to be part of the movie and I'm explaining to them the plot, the biggest thing I hear is, but I didn't grow up like that. I don't know what that's like. That's okay. Obviously, we will talk about every character choice that I've made, as well as all of the character choices I'm going to let you make. And I will make sure that everything that happens still feels within its own realm of realism in relation to the movie. Certain parts of the movies are meant to be a little blown out of its own proportion. But for the most part, the characters are supposed to feel very believable, and therefore I'm obviously going to go over with everybody why scenes are happening the way they are, why their characters are doing the certain things they're doing, because I understand that the actor might not just know these things. They might not have any history with these kinds of things. They might not have had to have some of the disadvantages other people have had, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but it's important that they understand the context before playing the character. There are a lot of people who've been involved with this film over the last 3 years, and most of them learned everything about their character and about these things because they became part of the film. They didn't know it beforehand. And from what I've seen so far, I would like to say that it seems like people are doing a really good job of understanding how to embody these characters. And if some of these people can, then I believe you can too, because there are some people who you really think wouldn't be able to put themselves in those shoes who do a pretty good job. Obviously, the biggest part of this is having a talent for acting. And if you don't think you have a good talent for acting, but you still want to be involved, that's okay. You can be involved in so many ways. There's always background characters. You don't need to be a great actor to be in the background, right? You can literally just sit there on your phone, and the movie takes place in 2024, so you look real. You look like a normal person, right? You could literally be playing Clash Royale, and you would still fit the scene, right? It's not a matter of having all these background characters who are extravagant, but, the world is supposed to feel real and full, and there's supposed to be certain background actors who do certain things, but if you can't act, I'm not going to force you to be like the background actor who has to like do something stupid, because you aren't going to know what you're doing. I'm not saying that the background actors have a stupid or unserious job. They have very serious roles in the film, and they are going to be used for a lot of symbolism that I'm not going to get into now. But you'll have a more toned down part where you'll probably just be in the background, and you'll probably just be on your phone or something, because you'll seem like you're a real person. And that's what's important, is making the world feel real, even if it's only real within its own realm. If you're wondering what the sheet is going to look like, go ahead and check the Google form in the description below. Even if you don't fill it out now, the paper will be mostly just asking those same questions, as, you know, the whole reason that it's going to be there is because I know not every single person who decides to come to the auditions will fill out the form. And if you do decide that you want to just come to the audition, but you don't really want to take it very seriously, that's okay. You know, kids will be kids. You're going to fuck around, right? That's all right. Make sure you put "do not cast" on the paper. No shame, you know, if you don't want to be part of it, but you still want to do the audition, whether you want to do it for experience or you just want to come kind of hang out, or you want to come and kind of make a fool of yourself or act stupid, whatever. You know, as long as you aren't harming anyone else or yourself, then make a fool of yourself. That's your business. But just make sure you put "do not cast" on the sheet so that you don't give us false hope. That's really you know, we're in a public space. I can't force you to not come. But if you're, who's coming? No, yeah, who is coming? If you were going to be coming, leave a comment below this. Sorry about the entire environment change, by the way. It's not very professional of me, but it's been like 5 hours since I last recorded for this. Anyways, thank you for everybody who watched, whether you watched the whole thing or you just skipped to the outro because you don't care. It's really nice to see that everybody is going to be very interested in coming and auditioning, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody. And you know, if you don't make it in, there's always another chance, but odds are if you audition, you'll at least get a background character, unless you give me any reason not to give you anything. You should be fine. With all that out of the way, I hope you are inspired to come audition. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email will be in the description below. If you want to fill out the Google form, please fill it out by March 18th, just so I can make sure I have everything in order before, you know, the day of. I don't want to have to be checking it all morning and everything, so if you want to fill out the form instead of fill out the sheet of paper when you get there, that's fine. They're the same thing, or at least they might be worded differently and like everything, but they have the same concept and reasoning. So as long as you do one of the two, or, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if someone forgot they filled out the form and fills out the sheet anyways. Whatever, just as long as you get one done, then it should be okay. And I will see everybody at auditions. And if you have any questions, as I said, email me below. Links to all of the teaser trailers so far will be linked below. I completely forgot, on the first teaser trailer that dropped, light warning, epilepsy, photosensitivity, a lot of flashing lights, but the other two should be fine. In that sense, they don't have any flashing lights or anything, so no photosensitivity warnings. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little comprehensive this comprehensive video on the auditioning process for the Teenage Prodigy movie. And if nothing else, I hope that you'll at least come watch the movie and enjoy it. Even if you decide that you don't want to be a part of it, it'd still be great to see everybody enjoy it after it comes out.